Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello and welcome. This is Inkdependence. I am Mike, and today we're taking a look at some notebooks. These notebooks. These are Stifflexible notebooks, and these are made in Italy. I was given these for review by Luxury Brands USA, who you can find at this link down here. They are the distributor for Stifflexible and Platinum and Noodlers and other things in the US. So thanks very much to those folks for sending these out for me. John and Carol and their son were at Atlanta, and they said, hey, Mike, you want to try some of these out? And I said, yes, I would. So they gave me two, and I actually haven't unwrapped this one, even though this is the one that I like better. I love this like sugar skull design thing they've got going on here. I think it's real cool. But I left this one in the packaging to show what the packaging is like. I'll be using this soon. So on the back, it gives you all the features and that sort of thing about these notebooks. These are 192 pages, et cetera, et cetera. We'll look at those, that notation when we get in here into the inside. And this is a 13 by 21. This is 5 by 8¼ inch. So this is kind of the medium size. They do a small, medium, and large. I have the medium and the large. And really, these look like they're about the same height, just different widths. This one, I took the packaging off and I didn't save it, which was a dumb idea because it doesn't actually have the dimensions in here, but this has got to be the large, and I measured it, so I've got measurements for it. This has there are a ton of designs for these things. So firstly, find one that you like the design of. They have these sort of sugar skull ones. There's a gray one which looks really dope too, in addition to this orange. There's some like this. This is not really my style. I'm not really a vintage car racing sort of dude, but this is going to appeal to a whole demographic, I believe. There are also a bunch of them that look like they're themed after superhero logos, but they are very carefully not those superhero logos. So check those out. There's like a Flash and Captain Marvel and some Captain America and stuff like that. Esque that you could look at if you like. So here's anyway, that's the packaging and that sort of thing. This is actually a ruler that's included and that's packed in. So let's take a look at how this guy performs. Okay, so this is the one that I've been walking around with a bit. I've used it for a couple of reviews and that sort of thing, and I figured it was time to get the actual review of this notebook done. I had a chance to also pass it around during Pen Club last time. It was a week or so ago, and that was a good time, so people left a few notes in here. I said, yeah, go ahead, write some stuff in there. And there may be stuff in here that I haven't even found yet because I haven't looked at every page. But you open this guy up, first bits are blank. Here's a thing to notice about it right off, and that's that there are these grooves. The interesting thing about this and why they call it the Stifflexible is that the cover is flexible. It bends. You can see there. Does a little shimmy. Get the guy with the Stifflexible shimmy. Anyway, so that means you can flip through this guy pretty easily, and you actually also find this bookmark sort of covery thing here very easily as well. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. It's a little bit of a gimmick, I suppose, but it does feel nice, and it does mean you can flip through it very easily. So, and it also feels very sturdy. These are not going to these don't feel like they're going to wear out at all. I mean, I've been carrying this around since Atlanta, off and on, not totally, but off and on, and no problems. In fact, the corners aren't even really dented. There's a little bit of wear on there, but also I think this is just sort of a worn look. So I'm not actually sure how much of that was there before I started using it. It's just got that kind of vintagey look to it. And this is a nice vintage green cover. I dig that. So you got black inside here, and then it starts the actual pages. You've got an if found, please return to with a little Stifflexible X down here, which is interesting. I haven't filled that out, obviously. Over here, you find one of the other features of these books, and this is FSC certified, and it has like the certification number and all this jazz, which they tell me is actually kind of hard to get. I don't know what all that tells you about this, whether that actually is a hard number to get or whatever, but you can look up this number and you can find their actual license, which is kind of fun. So, you know, cool. I hope it is from good, sustainable, and responsible sources. Environmental, elemental, chlorine free, pH neutral, no heavy metals, long life. That's what it's got down here. Made with paper that is completely recyclable and biodegradable despite being long life. So I guess if you're doing it the right way. So this is labeled notes. There are 3 sections to this paper, by the way. You've got a notes section. Back here, you start out with a post-it section. I'm not sure exactly why it's like that, but it is. And this is actually graph paper, which I'm not usually a fan of, but I was using this for some stuff that I needed to do for some video, and I was using the backside, which is blank, for some other timing things. And these aren't perforated, which is great. You can probably see the perforations there. It's a nice, big, easy perforation. My biggest hang-up with notebooks and getting started in notebooks is that I'm a little precious about what I'm going to put in them, and I don't want to mess it up. And so often I just won't start a notebook. I wish they were all perfed. If they would just perf this whole book, I would be very happy. So it's just the graph paper that is, though. And then before that, you actually have blank pages. Look at that. You use blank pages, and they're just labeled blank. These are just 3 distinct parts of this notebook, which is neat, and you don't really see that in notebooks very often, so it's definitely worth pointing out. And then in the back, you have this sort of fold-away bookmark thing. You can put this in the front, actually, if you want. It's big enough to go across the whole book, so that's good. And then there's a little pocket here if you need to put, I don't know, ticket stubs or receipts or business cards. I don't know what people put in these back pockets. I don't usually put anything in them, but it's there in case you want it. I use it to find the perforated bits. And now, of course, I've lost my page. There we go. All right. So that helps me with that. So let's look at how this paper reacts under some ink. I use this for writing notes for my yak leather review for that pen case I did a while ago. And I've written all of these in fountain pen. And so you can see there is some show through, but there's no bleed. This hasn't bled at all. And in fact, it barely, let's see, do I see any feathers? I don't. I see maybe a couple of little tiny feathers. I don't really see very many at all. So this is pretty good for fountain pen ink, and I'm not sure what pen this was. I'm actually pretty sure it was this one, which is Califolio. It's Zamna, I believe, is what's in this one. This is a 1.1 stub. So not the juiciest nib, but definitely a juicy nib. And then here I've got just some notes, some things I need to do for a class. Here's just some scribbling I was doing when I was reviewing that Platinum 3776 Oshino. And again, this is Robert Oster's Melon Tea. No problems with bleed through or anything. Here are some little notes that people made. This is a note I made here, thesteelpen.com. There's a dude in our pen club who's been putting together a history of all American dip pens. So definitely a thing to check out if you're interested in that kind of thing. This is a very interesting notebook. Nice paper too. Write a thing. I instructed them to write a thing if they want. This notebook is strange, says Liz, no pun intended. And then here I have it with a whole bunch of different kinds of inks. So Colorverse Morningstar, Thunderstorm, Photon from Colorverse again, some more Robert Oster's, some Franklin Christoph's. This is with a weird rollerball tip that I've got on a pen. Monteverde Scotch Brown, Kibaguro, and nothing came through the back. No bleeding at all. Do I see any feathering? Maybe just a skosh of feathering here with the Photon, but this Anderson pen's broad. I've tuned it very wet, so I'm not shocked. If anything is going to, it'll feather a little bit, but no bleed through, so that's good. Gel pens worked just fine on here as well. You can see I used a whole bunch of different sorts of gel pens, different sizes and styles. This is the Pilot Address pen, and this thing is... What the hell did I write here? All the millimeters. This is just labeled broad. It's basically like a marker. And even that barely came through. And this is like a permanent marker. I mean, it smells like a Sharpie. It writes incredibly thick and wet. But even there, only a couple little points and nothing bled onto the next page. So that's pretty good. If anything was going to go through, I would imagine that would. Except for this next thing, which is the fine point Sharpie. It is not a fine point. It's still one of those big round points. But that one came through, of course. It did not bleed onto the next page, which is nice, but it did come straight through the page. Again, not a shock. There are very few papers that can hold up to a full-on Sharpie marker. Then down here, I've got just random pens and pencils. This paper has a nice smooth feel to it, but it has enough tooth that you don't have any problem writing with pencils. If you like pencils, those worked out just fine. I've got this Stabilo Pen 68, which is like a marker point sort of pen, a couple of ball points down here, liquid flares, a space pen, and those all work just fine. Even this Stabilo, which is basically a marker, had no problems at all. So there you go. Oh, some more notes on the back here. That's a Parker 45 stub with Super Show Blue. How'd that do? Looks like it did well. I actually didn't notice that it was on here. So a couple of little tiny bleeds, but Super Show Blue is known to be a bit of a bleeder, I think. Here's some Irishizuku Shinkai, which actually looks pretty nice. Now I've been bad-mouthing Irishizuku, but I like that. I don't know what this says. Maybe somebody's just something, I don't know. Quide Poo? I don't know. But anyway, no problems there at all. I've been enjoying this paper a lot. Here's that little ruler that comes with it. This is a 6-inch ruler. I'm not really sure what this is for exactly, other than being a bookmark. Maybe they just wanted to have a better way to give you the information without, just putting it on the packaging. So I don't know. This is a nice little include, a nice little toss in. Works as a bookmark for me. If you don't want to use just the back bookmark. And then here are some notes about this stuff. I was actually writing this and my pen ran completely dry, just died. So that's it, which means that I have used up all the ink in this one. So totally dry, but well, there you go. Pen ran dry. This is 192 pages of paper, 144 pages of lined, 32 pages of blank, and 16 pages of graph. And these graphs are all perforated, like I said before. I wish they had perfed the whole thing. I would have been cool with that, just because, I don't know, I'm kind of a wuss about misusing journals, and so I don't know. I want to do that, but whatever. This is the large size, is 8 1/4 by 6, whereas this one is supposed to be 5 by 8 1/4. So yeah, same height, different widths, which is an interesting way to do it. I wonder what the small ones are. I don't have one of those handy. Let me go look it up right quick. Okay, so looking at the Pen Chalet website, the small notebook is 3.5 by 5.5, so it's going to be a different dimension entirely instead of these two. But all right, so there you go. That's the informations. But the large and the medium have the same height and just different widths. I am a little bit. I don't know why they didn't just go with the A sizing, B sizing thing on these, given that they're in Italy, and I'm sure that they know what those mean. But they're not on any of the documentation, so I don't know if those are specific sizes or not. And I'm not familiar enough, frankly, with those sizes to be able to tell you. What the deal is. But in any case, I can tell you that I really enjoy these Stifflexible notebooks. I think the graphics are awesome. The paper is very good. I have heard that there was a previous version of these notebooks that didn't use very good paper, and I know that there were some retailers that just straight up refused to carry it because of that bad paper. But these are the newer version, and the paper is quite good. It's not absolutely perfect, but it is porous enough to give you good dry times without giving you lots of bleed through or feathering. I did find a little bit of bleed and feather, but not much, and that's only when you use something that really you should expect bleeding and feathering. So for fountain pens, pencils, gel, rollerball, all that stuff, these are good, and you can find them at retailers like Anderson Pens or like Pen Chalet, where they will go in prices depending on like small, medium, large stuff, from about $9 up to about $18 for the big ones. So check these out at your favorite paper purveyor. Thank you again to Luxury Brands for giving me these to review, and I will see y'all later. Peace out.